Welcome back. When you hear estate planning, you might be a little hesitant. It's tough, right? Hard subject to talk about, but it is very important. And we're tackling the difference today between wills and trusts on this Money Monday with Chad Waddoups from Mountain America Credit Union. Chad, this is interesting, fascinating that a lot of us have to go through this at some point in our life. Parents get older, we get older, and a lot of us just don't know how to approach it. So who needs to actually set up an estate plan when you're going about this process?
Yeah, that's a great place to start. The short answer is everyone needs to. There's a common misconception that only if you have a lot of money or ultra high net worth that you need an estate plan. But if you look at the benefits of an estate plan, I think you can see why it would be so important for anyone to consider it. So an estate plan makes sure that your assets and your property get distributed properly. It also assigns care for your minor children. And it can also make sure that your own medical needs, if you ever become incapacitated and need help, are known by your family members, which is very important.
I would imagine there are a few different options that you have if you're looking to get started.
Absolutely. The two most common devices used, you have wills and trusts. So both of those are legal documents that make sure your assets are distributed properly. There's some differences between the two. A will is going to say who gets those funds, who is the guardian of your children, who is the executor of your estate. A trust can take it a step further to say how are those assets distributed. So if you have a younger child that you don't feel like a lump sum would be appropriate for, a trust can allow you to say, let's give them, him or her, 20% when they're 20, 25% more when they're 30. It allows you to have a lot more control over the distribution of those assets.
I feel like I've heard they can be used specifically for, say, like a college education or something as well. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. And the trust gives you a ton of flexibility. You can say, you can designate a certain amount for college funding, a certain amount for other life events. You could say a new home. You can designate a certain amount for a new home. It gives you a lot of flexibility.
A trust over a will, what's the difference there, and when should you do what?
So a will is going to be just that basic document that says who gets the assets.
So that's at the very minimum then,
Very minimum. Who gets it.
And trust just goes the step further.
Trust goes that step further to say how are they going to get the assets? How would you like your children to be cared for? Where should the monies be used for the benefit of your children if you have children? Those types of things.
A lot of folks watching, how do you go about trusting someone to name them an executor? I feel like that may be my own personal, I guess, problem or misunderstanding with that, or is that the way to go about? How do you name an executor of your estate?
Well, you do it very carefully, right? Because that's a very critical role someone's going to play. Any legally competent adult can take on that role. Now, obviously, if you're making that assignment, you want to have somebody that you trust explicitly, that you know is going to fulfill your wishes. A lot of people choose to go with a corporate trustee, so take that burden off of a family member and pay a fee to have a corporate trustee do it. But it is a very important part of the process, selecting the right person.
Boy, so many topics to dive in here. Where can we find more information? Because I know you guys have a ton more on your website.
We do. Mountain America's website, macu.com. You can find information there, and any of our financial advisors would be happy to look at personal situations as well.
Boy, something that difficult subject matter, but something we all should probably think about more than we should. Chad, appreciate it. In for Mountain America this afternoon on a Money Monday. Lori?